Dividing multi-digit numbers. Learning goals: I can divide multi-digit numbers using the standard algorithm. Vocabulary: 15 divided by 3. 15 is the dividend, 3 is the divisor, and 5 is the quotient, or the answer to a division problem. If we're going to set that up to use long division, 15 goes in your division bracket, 3 goes out in front as your divisor, and 5 is your answer. So sample problem. I'm going to take 258 and divide it by 6. I say, well, how many times does 6 go into 2? Well, 6 cannot go into 2, so I have to go on to the next number. How many times does 6 go into 25? 4. And then I take 4 times 6 to get 24. And then I subtract. And then I have to bring down the 8. 6 goes into 18 3 times. 6 times 3 is 18, and I subtract, and I have a remainder of 0. Okay, we're going to take 9,384 and divide it by 6. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to start by estimating how many times 6 goes into 9,000. And I say 1,000 times. So 1,000 times 6 is 6,000. I'm going to subtract. And I have 3,384. And I say, well, how many times? It goes in 500 times. 500 times 6 is 3,000. I subtract. And I have 384. So 6 goes into 384 60 times, which is 360. I subtract and I get 24. And 6 goes into 24 4 times. Oops. Which is 24. I subtract and I get 0, a remainder of 0. Now, how do we put all this together? We're just going to move the number over just as it is. 1,000 plus 500 plus 60 plus 4. 1,564. Let's take a look at this with the standard algorithm. So I have 9,384 divided by 6. The first number I'm going to look at and say, did 6 go into 9? Yes, one time. So 1 times 6 is 6. I'm going to subtract. I get 3, and then I bring down the 3. 6 times what equals 33, or close? 5. So 5 times 6 is 30. I get the 3 when I subtract, and I bring down the 8. 6 goes into 38 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. I subtract. I'm left with a 2, and I bring the 4 down. 6 goes into 24 4 times. I subtract, and that's 0. So 220 divided by 40. So I'm going to look at the 4 and say, well, how many times does that 40 go into 2? It can't. Can it go into 22? No, it can't. So how many times can 40 go into 220? So 4, let's try 5. 5 times 40 is 200. I'm left with 20. Now what? So I have a remainder of 20. So I'm going to add a decimal point here and a 0. $40 can go into 200 5 times. 5 times 40 is 200. I subtract, and that's 0. You try this one. Make sure to put it on the computer.